In the 1990s, basketball stars were celebrities. Even if you didn't know the sport, you knew Michael Jordan, Patrick Ewing, Charles Barkley, and many more. America had total basketball fever, so a lot of these guys got really big endorsement deals. In 1992, Michael Jordan played against Bugs Bunny in a now classic Nike commercial. This commercial received a sequel with Marvin the Martian, and then it would go on to inspire the 1996 hit movie Space Jam. Also in 1992, Nike launched an ad where a giant Charles Barkley plays Godzilla in basketball. It was a big production. Industrial lights and magic were involved. And I read that they used some of the same buildings that were used in the original Ghostbusters film. The commercial is played for laughs. Godzilla dons a pair of goggles and plays competitively. It's a fun, well-done ad. This commercial didn't spin off into a film like Space Jam, but it did spin off into a 1993 one-shot comic book from Dark Horse. This comic is weird. It's not as cartoonish as the commercial. It strikes this awkward tone somewhere between fun and quasi-serious and realistic. It might have been better if it committed one way or the other, but as it stands, I give this one-shot 1 star! Just look at this cover, man. Others have pointed it out, and I'm gonna say it too. Godzilla looks like he's puking Spider-Man's web onto Barkley's basketball. Who illustrates atomic breath this way? Now this is interesting. The plot is credited to Alan Smithy. For those of you who don't know, Alan Smithy is a fake name professionals use when they don't want their real name on a finished work of art. It started in the film industry and dates all the way back to 1968. So that means whoever came up with the plot for this comic is too ashamed to admit it. The story starts off the coast of California as a ship is attacked by Godzilla. It's split in half. I can only assume that just a few pages in, this comic already has a higher death count than the commercial did. We cut to a beach where every single woman looks like this, because this is a comic book from the 1990s. This kid Matthew wants to go meet his hero Charles Barkley at a nearby commercial shoot, and he's dragging his poor grandfather along. The bouncer tells Matthew to stay back, as he should because that's his job as a bouncer. Since Matthew is an entitled little shit who didn't get to meet his hero, he pouts. So his grandpa gives him a silver dollar coin, which he explains is magic. Actually, he doesn't really explain anything, he just says, "Here, have a magic coin." Alright. Then they find this guy washed up on the shore from the ship Godzilla attacked. It's not long before Godzilla is seen making his way toward the shore. As a quick aside, this comic will take place entirely in California, while the commercial took place in Tokyo. Matthew skateboards back to Charles Barkley, convinced that only Barkley can stop Godzilla. Man, those jets aren't gonna stop that old monster. Guess they gotta learn the hard way. Like by maybe dying. Matthew skateboards over the bouncer and into Barkley's arms, and then he tells him, "You gotta stop Godzilla, take this dollar." Only Charles Barkley can stop Godzilla. Only Charles Barkley can stop Godzilla, here, take this dollar! Barkley thinks the kid has a point, and then he fires his advisors for disagreeing. Charles Barkley is fucking insane in this comic, and so is the kid, and they're just both enabling each other's insanity. Barkley decides to kinda kidnap the kid. Yeah, they're next seen driving together and Grandpa completely disappeared. Then the kid challenges Barkley to a game of hoops, so they pull over into a basketball court while Godzilla is rampaging through the city. What the fuck? Oh, but don't worry. The comic goes to great lengths to show that there are no losses of life, even though about a dozen 9/11s are happening at once. They flip the coin to see who will shoot first, but the coin lands on the side, activating its magic. When Barkley touches the coin, he grows to be Godzilla's size. So he decides to challenge Godzilla to a game of basketball. Hey Barkley, I'm sure your basketball dribbling isn't a great idea for the people below you. From a helicopter, a news reporter asks Barkley what he's doing. Hey, how did you grow to be 300 feet tall? Maybe start there. Barkley taunts Godzilla and gets him to follow him to a military base they can use as a basketball court. They play for just a few pages. Godzilla makes a shot, but then it's just the Charles Barkley show. Since he's losing, Godzilla gets all pissy and he melts the ball. Somehow this doesn't also melt Barkley's hands too. Barkley scolds him and walks him all the way to a canyon in Utah that happens to have a giant basketball hoop, and then he tells Godzilla to do 1 million layups. And Godzilla listens! He fucking listens! And to this day, the residents of Utah can still feel the earth vibrate from Godzilla's basketball practice. Seriously, what the fuck? Oh look, they even got the contractually obligated Nike sneakers in there. And then Godzilla got busy. Barkley shrinks back to normal size without explanation, and he returns to give Matthew the magic coin back. And they laugh. Ha 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 ha, we're all crazy. You know what would have made this comic book better? If it had just one more page, with Matthew back on the beach in the beginning of the story, slowly dying in his grandfather's arms. Yeah, because you see in the beginning when Godzilla first appeared, he somehow critically injured Matthew, and the majority of the comic was a dream he was having as he slowly drifted into the sweet arms of death. I would give this comic book a 5-star rating if it had the balls to give me that one last page. Time has not been kind to this comic book. Some of the panels have been floating around online as memes, or the object of curiosity. Out of context, it's easy to wonder what the fuck's going on. Hell, with context, I wonder the same thing. Again, the commercial worked because it completely played the whole thing like a live-action cartoon. But the comic? Yeah, if I came up with this plot, I'd also change my name to Alan Smithy.